Okay, it's 3 o'clock in India, 11:30 in Europe, and this is exactly when we start with today's webinar. A very good afternoon to all of you who are joining us from India, and a very good midday for those who are joining us from Europe. My name is Samrat Kumar. I work for Euraxess, and in partnership with the European delegation to India, we are very proud and happy to present to you an extraordinary exclusive webinar on the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship Call 2024. And today, what we're going to do, the exercise today will be that we have invited some very excellent institution speakers from European countries who are very much interested to express a hosting offer opportunity to those of you who are planning and thinking to apply for the 2024 MSCA-PF Call. We already did a webinar on the call itself a few weeks ago. If you haven't been attending that, we strongly recommend you to watch that recording on YouTube. We will share it in the chat with you very shortly. But today it's really about, getting some understanding what offers are there if you're looking for host institutions, how to maybe approach a potential supervisor. We have some very key experts with us who are available for the next 2 hours or so for your questions and queries. So without any further delay, I would like to, welcome our speakers of today. We have, I start with the top left, which I'm seeing on my screen, is Dr. Vivek Dham. He's advisor at the EU delegation at the Research Innovation section. Dr. Vivek will today briefly walk you through the call again, like give you like in a nutshell the key objectives of the fellowship and the call. And we also have with us as speakers Ms. Sylvie Buryanova. She is the national contact point for Horizon Europe at the Technology Center Prague from the Czech Republic. A very warm welcome to you, Sylvie. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for inviting me, and hi to all.
And next, I think this person doesn't need any introduction. It's Dr. Srini Kaveri. He's the director of CNRS office in New Delhi, India, and he will tell you about what France has to offer in terms of the fellowship. Good afternoon, Srini. Thank you for joining.
Good afternoon, Samrat. Good afternoon, everybody. And I'll be very happy to walk you through some of the mechanisms of France and CNRS in particular. All right.
Thank you, Srini. We're looking forward to that. Next, we have Mr. Per Magnus Kommandantvold. He's a special advisor for Horizon Europe, a national contact point for the MSCA and the European Research Council at the Research Council of Norway in Norway. Very warm welcome to you, Per Magnus. Thank you for joining.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Samrat. Looking forward to talk to you all.
And we also have Ms. Marie Kummerlöwe from the Netherlands, from TU Delft. She will be joining us in a short while. But I'm also very happy to see that Mr. Pierrick Villon-Achida, the head of the Research Innovation section at the EU delegation, is also with us. And Pierrick, today it's about Team Europe. What opportunities are there for Indian candidates for the Marie Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship Call 2024? And you see, we have quite a good number of attendees, and we have some exciting presentations. But we would like to hear also from you, Pierrick, about the importance of EU-India collaboration, especially under the mobility programs the EU has to offer. Thank you, Pierrick.
Hi, yes, hello everybody. I will just give a few words. So as you see from the map behind, I am based in India at the EU delegation. We have an office for research and innovation, which covers projects, but also mobility. Not only the mobility of postdocs, PhDs, but also masters. And I just mentioned, the master program is called Erasmus, so it's very well known in Europe. But let me just give a few points. Number one, I appreciate all the European colleagues who are now online because they are important. They are going to welcome the Indian colleagues, Indian postdocs. So it's very important that when you explain your offer, you also refer to how how a postdoc coming, let's say, to Norway or Netherlands will have not only a bilateral, not only with that country, but with a whole European landscape possibility for the research. Because in Europe, we are very well integrated for fellowships, for exchanging ideas. So it's not one country like India, but it's almost like one country. Just I wanted to point a few things. We need to be careful when you will apply for the various grants to do it on time. There are often issues that should not be underestimated with visa. So the EU will not be responsible for the visa. It will be the corresponding embassies. But take care of it. It sounds to be too early for you maybe to think about it, but it's something that you have to consider, especially and including Norway as part of Schengen. It's a major element for your mobility during your stay in Europe. The second thing is in terms of content, I will also listen now to the colleagues who will present in the way that when you do a postdoc or PhD in the European universities, often I will encourage you to link with the business, with the industrial sector, the application of what you are doing in your research. And even whatever the domain can be, even biodiversity of whatever, there is an application element and an element that goes towards creating a leverage for the science impact. So I really encourage all the universities welcoming the Indian fellows to show that it's not only purely academic research, but it's high value academic research in a context of application, because we need to demonstrate that public funding from the EU, from the member states, is used for the purpose of helping the society on whatever issues, on climate change, better drugs, better IT systems. The last thing is, I know that Dr. Samrat and in my team, Dr. Vivek Dam, who are organizing today, have other venues with other member states in the coming days, so that you can see the various offers. And my final point is I appreciate Samrat to organize it today. He's doing a great job because Europe has a variety of universities, variety of countries like India, and sometimes it's a little bit difficult for the Indian to navigate. So thanks to everybody, especially the European speakers and all of you Indian candidate fellows. I hope you will come to Europe. You will be, as we say in our jargon, you will be the next ambassadors of Europe when you will be in India, or you will be the ambassador of India when you will be in Europe. But you will set the bridge. That's the point. So thank you, Samrat. It was just a few words of welcome.
Thank you so much, Perik. Very kind of you, and of course, very inspiring as always to listen to you, and also how you bring together the different angles and see the importance of those programs, which also should connect not only with academia but also with the non-academic sector. And the fellowship itself contains those elements, and I think this was very important to highlight that. And now I think we move to Dr. Vivek, who will give, as I said, a brief overview of the call and the main components of it and the objectives. Thank you, Vivek. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Samrat. I'm just trying to screen my presentation. Just hold a minute. Yeah, could you please confirm it is a full screen and visible?
It is not full screen. Now it's full screen. Perfect.
Okay. Thank you, Samrat. And I, on behalf of EU delegation, I welcome all the participants to the first webinar on hosting offers. So I will quickly take you what are the eligibility criteria, how do you prepare a proposal. I think in last seminar, we already in detail explained these modalities, but I'm trying to make it more simplify, and I'm sure it will again have some similar questions, but we are happy to answer you. So I will start with some positive data. How many Indians are in Marie Curie? So that is the data which we had received just a couple of weeks back, and I'm just giving you India ranked first in non-European countries, the most beneficial postdoctoral number of postdoctoral benefited from India. So that also underlines the excellence that the Indian researchers bring to this program. And also there is a strong connect between Europe and India, which is also underlined. In last 9 to 10 years, on an average, we had funded almost more than 2,500 PhD and postdocs. That is quite a significant number. To be specific, on 2022 and 23, 232 Indian managed to crack the Marie Curie postdoc fellowships. And the cutoff is quite high, that is 91% cutoff, which also underlines the competitiveness and the excellence driven by this particular program. On your right side, these are the destinations where the 21-22, the Indian fellows has been there: Spain, Netherlands, Germany, France. These are the main destinations where the Indians has gone. But there are more than 17, 18 countries where the Indian fellows are already present. So this is to start the presentation with the positive news that the India is doing extremely well, and you will able to crack the Marie Curie Fellowship 2020 as well. So this is particular postdoctoral fellowship call is annual call. So it will repeat in 25, in 26. So this is, you have to be prepared well in advance. If you're not prepared well in advance, don't try it. You just have to be 101% sure when the proposal is really, really prepared, whether you also fulfill the eligibility criteria. So what Pierre was mentioning, this program is not only about the research. Okay, this Marie Curie is different than the other programs because it is brings the excellence as a main criteria of selection. So we are not only forming the researchers, we are want to form the researchers which are industry oriented. So we are forming researchers and entrepreneurs who can bring the idea from lab to the market. So that kind of a formation, that kind of a designs has been developed under this particular program, so that the international, intersectoral and sectoral as well as continental mobility is highly encouraged under this particular program. So please be aware that this is annual cycle. You can again retry for next year. For this year's 2024 call is already open, which open on 23rd of April. It will close on 11th September 2024. 17 hours Brussels time, 17 hours the application site will be closed. We will not accept any more proposals. It is electronic system, so it will be blocked automatically. So you can anticipate the results in February 2025. These are all tentative timelines. If you are selected, you will be called for grant agreement signatures by the host institutions. Will recruit you as a postdoc. And if you you are selected, you can start the project anywhere from April 2025. There is a big window that you can even extend. If you have a contractual obligation, you can extend the start of the program up to 6 to 1 year, depending on the funding officials as well as the host institution. But there is a flexibility offered under this particular program. For this particular program, Commission is investing 417.18 million euros. Approximately, we anticipate 1,400 fellowship to be funded under the 2024 call. So as most of you had probably attended last webinar, but just I reiterate the same. There are two schemes to apply. One is European Postdoctoral Fellowship. That means the Indians who are looking to go to Europe has to apply for this specific scheme that is called as European Postdoctoral Fellowship. those fellows who wants to come out of Europe, from Europe to India or any other part of the world, that scheme is called Global Postdoctoral Fellowship. So we will only focus on European postdoctoral fellowship. Under this particular fellowship program, there is a small, there is also a provision of ERA, that is European Research Area Fellowship. Additional window is available. I will explain you in later phase. So what is, in nutshell, what is it all about? It is individual postdoctoral fellowship. It is funded for your idea, what kind of a research you want to conduct under the postdoctoral fellowship. So it belongs to an individual, and there is no age limit. It is for the 1 to 2 years, funding given by the commission. You can do your postdoctoral either in academics as well as industry. It is all flexible. It is up to the host institutions and postdoctoral candidate which host you want to consider. It is career development scheme. So when you will apply for this particular scheme, there is a specific segment. It will ask you how this particular fellowship will develop your career, so that you need to very categorically specify and mention the importance, how it will bring an additional dimension to your research career. It is open to all nationalities, all the research domains. It is a bottom-up approach. So these are the 8 panels which under the Marie Sklodowska Curie, it will receive the proposal. It is up to the postdoctoral candidate and the host supervisor to decide which panel you want to apply, because sometimes the proposals are interdisciplinary. So the commission will not intervene anything. It is, you have to see which is the closest field you think your proposal is qualified. You can choose that particular panel to submit this. There is no quota or award of fellowship per discipline. It is open on the basis of excellence. So again, this eligibility criteria, we are keep on receiving emails. So I try to simplify. I'm trying to make it more easy to understand. So I will give you the first eligibility criteria, that candidate who is applying for postdoctoral fellowship must have a PhD degree in hand at the time of submission of the proposal. Okay, you should have a PhD. That is a basic criteria. Or if you have at least defended your PhD thesis viva, and you should be having a provisional degree. So this is at the time of submission. This is, I think we keep on repeating the same questions, but receiving same questions, but this is the simplest form I can give you. The eligibility window, what does it means? Because it asks for 8 years maximum research experience you can have in a particular field. That means a PhD after 23rd September 2016 are automatically eligible to apply for 2024. So I just try to calculate how many 8 years it means. So after the PhD, maximum 8 years of experience. If you are more than 8 years and 1 day, you are disqualified. But however, there is an exceptions for these calculations. If you are under the different sick leave or parental leave or maternity leave or non-research performing activities, so you can calculate all your research experience. I had given a link. I will leave this presentation with you, how to find out the self-assessment tool for calculating your research experience. So basically, we don't want anybody older than 8 years of research experience continuous. So that is the underline. The mobility rule, this another criteria of selection or the eligibility criteria, that the candidate must not have stayed or resided in a host country more than 12 months in last 36 months. I will give an example. If you have done a PhD in last 36 months in France, you cannot consider France as an host institute or country for your postdoc. You need to change that. Again, I had calculated that is, anyone who had done a PhD from September 2021 till 24, those people, the window is still open for those people, but make sure the mobility, the experience and degree eligibility criteria is well examined, well addressed. Again, some people, because this is a new rule of submission, if you have tried last year in 2023 but you are rejected, you can resubmit your application only if you have a percentage score of more than 70%. So then only you are eligible, then you, otherwise you have to take a break for some time. So the Marie Curie postdoc is partnership between the postdoctoral candidate and host. The application has to be developed jointly by the postdoctoral candidate and the host supervisor. The supervisor could be from academic, non-academic, industry. We have given a free hand to choose your supervisor. The host institute must be located in a European member state or Horizon associated country. What does it mean? So this is the 27 European member states. So all this money of European Union comes from this 27 member state and 17 countries. So if you have to be select any of your destination, you have an option of choosing an host institute almost in 44 countries. I will leave this slide with you. Just a recent update that the UK had reintegrated into European Horizon program as an associated country. So you can also explore the host from Europe. Already today, Norway is already present. Poland is already there. Then France is already there. So you have plenty of option to select different host countries. This is one of the most generous funding provided by to a postdoctoral fellowship. The European Commission provide 5,080 euros as a living allowance. In addition, you have mobility allowance, family allowance, and in top of that, you will also your host institution also get a training network contribution of 1,000 euros plus management. So on an average, Commission spend per month 7 to 8,000 euros for a postdoc per month. Okay. In addition, there is an correction coefficient because certain countries have different expenditure and the cost of living is high or low. Depending on that, the scholarship is calculated. But on an average, this is the range where the fellowship is paid by the European Commission. So the host organization, as I already made clear, that it has to be any host organization from these 44 countries. It could be a higher education institution, university, institute, private sector, industry. Pierre already mentioned we encourage a lot of mobility, secondment from academic to industry. So you can also add additional secondment during your postdoc to industrial partners. It could be public sector organization, it could be NGOs, it could be hospitals, you name it. Those entities who are having insufficient infrastructure and expertise and can host a postdoc can be your potential host. Who could be the supervisor? That is another question we keep on receiving. The supervisor must be a designated supervisor in a host organization, and he or she should be able to secure an agreement for your supervision of as a postdoc from the institution. So these are the basic two requirements if you when you are looking for a supervisor. So there is, and Commission had come up with a supervision guide for you. I had given already the link in my presentation. The supervisor is the person who can dedicate his or her time to develop your proposal, is the most reliable and most efficient host for you to formulate the proposal. So how to find the host? That is another challenge everyone face. So basically, we always inform the potential applicant that the first contact, the first approach should be your professional networks. You know, your labs already has a bilateral collaboration. You must have met a lot of people during the conferences. You must have had an joint labs. You may have joint projects. So those are the people who should be approached first if they are ready to host you, because they know you and nobody wants to take a strangers in a team. So it's always the personal know-how works quite well. So our first recommendation for everyone is to go for your professional networks with whom you had already collaborations. Also, you are referring a lot of publications from different teams across Europe. So you can write to those teams because these are the people who are specifically working in your field, and it might be interesting for them to host you. Again, there are a lot of hosting offers. I just had quickly checked on Euraxess, more than 500 hosting offers already had published on the website. So this is another source of information. Then Marie Curie Net matchmaking platforms also provides a lot of scopes. And if you open the call page under the Horizon funding and tender portal, below that there is a find partners. There are, I had seen almost more than 100 had expressed the interest already that they want to host the candidate. So that is also another venue where you can find a lot of potential host institutions who are ready to explore the partnership or hosting offers to the international postdoc fellows. So again, if you want to go for an industrial host, there is a catalog of EN, that is Enterprise European Network, which also provides a good know-how about what kind of industries are available, and if you are interested, you can look into that. And then we are organizing and hosting webinars quite regularly. Samrat had already planned a second webinar on 22nd. You can also join those webinars. So how do you go for it? Because this is like a big market and number of emails and number of people writing across. So this is people are flooded with that. So you need to be very specific, categoric when you are approaching to potential host institution. You need to do a lot of survey or know-how of the lab about the team and the supervisor before you write. So I always write to the people, advise to the people, make sure you make a thorough background information check, and then only you write, because you are selling yourself to a potential host. You can send your CV, your brief idea proposal of 1 page, and then only it can take forward, because this is something a lot of people come up with the complaint that nobody is replying. So your approach has to be very specific, very tangible, and very convincing. So again, when you are preparing a proposal, please make sure that you read the award criteria very carefully. Go through all documents available under the funding and tender portal. The award criteria is divided into three pillars: the excellence, impact, and implementation. The excellence is given 50% of weightage, impact and implementation 30 and 20% weightage. A lot of people don't give importance for the implementation as well as the impact, because that also carries a lot of weight. So all the details are available on the internet. It is just flooded with the information. You need to check which one is the most easy way for you to understand the criteria. But I strongly recommend, before even you start a proposal writing, please go through the award criteria so that you formulate a competitive proposal. So drafting an application is another big challenge. Once you find the host, you need to have a dedicated, I already mentioned, a supervisor who is ready to spend time with you, and the proposal needs to be developed jointly, so that you and the supervisor are agree with the work plan which is ready for implementation, if successful, for the next 1 or 2 years. So you have to take a support from your peers, your seniors, to develop the proposal. There is also award criteria and budget structure I already mentioned. Please go through that. You formulate your proposal according to the criteria as well as the budget requirement. There are application forms you need to be well versed with before you start. Evaluation formulations, there are again, I'm giving you a lot of links which you can go through during your proposal preparation. I find this handbook is quite effective and very informative. So please look at this postdoctoral fellowship handbook, which is very useful. And lastly, under the funding and tender portal, specifically for the MSCA postdoctoral fellowship fellowship, there is FAQ. All possible questions are already given an answer to that. So please go through FAQ specific to this Marie Curie postdoc. At the bottom of this particular call, the section is already mentioned. As I'm already mentioned, that the application form is divided in two parts. Part A is very structural data, which is the supervisors needs to be formulate and nominate you as a potential candidate. And part B is more about the research proposal. Your research proposal specific has a page limit of 10 pages. So as I mentioned at the beginning, that European fellowship has an additional, chance. It's called as ERA, European Research Action Area Fellowship, that gives you a second chance to submit your host institute if it is from the widening country. I will explain how it works. So this, if you are from the countries of this, your host institution belongs to from these 15 countries, that means you qualify for the widening countries criteria. So if you belongs to that, in your application you need to click that you are interested for ERA fellowship. So your application is automatically considered for the ERA fellowship without resubmission. So if you are highly ranked, but due to fund limitation or lack of fund, you are not able to get the funding. So your application is automatically transferred to the ERA fellowship. So please pay attention. If your institution is from these 18 countries, widening countries, you have a chance to have a second chance of having a fellowship from the additional grant which Commission is providing. So this is the application forms look like, where you have to say yes, that I want to apply for widening fellowship if my score is above threshold limit. So these are the hints what Pierre already mentioned. You start early, the submission doesn't close, so you can resubmit the proposal, get used to the funding and tender portal. This is quite an exercise, so better get used to it. You can verify your proposal through NCPs. There are a lot of people who are assisting the people. Make sure your proposal is easy to read, because not all the experts are super specialized from your field. So use graphs, charts. So these are the few hints I will give it to you. And at the end, if you have any additional questions, Samrat and myself will be happy to answer. Wish you all the best. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Vivekji, for this excellent presentation. And, especially, you just highlighted again the eligibility criteria and also how successful actually Indian nationals are. And I find it also very intriguing, the tips you provided, how to approach a supervisor, where to find potential host institutions. There's a lot of material out there to search, but we want to make life a bit easier for you. And that's why we have brought in our speakers from different European countries, who will give you much more insight about their institutions, the offers they have. But once again, thank you so much, Vivek, for making that important recap about the call. And we move now to the next session, which I think most of you are eagerly waiting. We already see in the chat there's a lot of interaction going, and I would like to start with the Czech Republic and with our first speaker, Ms. Sylvie Burjanova. As already mentioned in the beginning, she's a national contact point for Horizon Europe and currently the Technology Center Prague in the Czech Republic. Sylvie, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I just want to check, do you see my presentation?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, both is
Okay.
audible and visible.
Yeah. Okay, great. Now that works, then we can proceed. So hello to everybody, to some nice afternoon, to some happy lunchtime, kind of, in Europe. My name is Sylvie. I'm from Czech Republic. I'm national contact points mainly for research infrastructures, actually, but also Marie Curie Skłodowska actions are in my portfolio. Thank you for the invitation for me to present you the opportunities of hosting in Czechia. I will briefly just start with let's see, and now is it? Yes, with the overview of the Technology Center Prague, which is my home organization. Technology Center Prague hosts National Information Center for European Research, which is the network of national contact points, which I'm part of. So we each have our agenda in the Horizon Europe. And what we do offer as services is, firstly, we organize trainings and workshops, some information sessions, information days for the Horizon Europe calls. We also do offer consultations, individual consultations. So if you have intention to submit proposal to the Horizon Europe call, or during your realization, implementation of the project, and you tackle some obstacles, you can contact us and we will help you with that. We publish via publications. I especially have to recommend our portal, our website, Horizon. It's Horizon Evropa, but it's in Czech language mainly, but also in English. And regarding Marie Skłodowska actions, you definitely find a lot of information in English there. We offer support to public authorities, and we also, our analytical team, produce some participation statistics and analysis. So there was just kind of brief introduction of my home institution, and now let's move to the, the main program. Yes. So about Czechia, and why you should try to visit and find your host institution in Czechia. Czechia is a beautiful landlocked country in Central Europe. The capital city is Prague, which I think is worldwide famous for its beauty. We have over 10 million inhabitants. We are a safe and peaceful country. We are also ranked 25 on the Legato Prosperity Index. So it's also not only a nice country to visit, but it's also a nice place to live. We always had strong voice in the science. We have been internationally renowned in areas ranging from Egyptology to high-tech fields such as non-woven nanofibers and biotechnologies. The main central organ that is responsible for Czech research and development policy is the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports. We also have the Innovation Strategy of Czechia 2019-2030, which sets kind of the goal for science and innovation, and really the Czechia aims to become one of the innovation leaders in Europe. We are the member of the European Union since 2004, so we kind of had our 20th anniversary. So it's a beautiful country. You should definitely try to visit. What about our hosting opportunities? We have 26 public higher education institutions. I put the links in the presentations, which I believe that will be, sent then after the webinar to you, so you can check it out. So we have 26 higher education institutions. The biggest one is Charles University in Prague, which has 17 faculties. It's the oldest university in Central Europe. It was founded in 1348. The second biggest university is Masaryk University that have 10 faculties, and it's the second biggest city in Czechia. We also have 33 private higher education institutions, and we also have Czech Academy of Sciences, which main aim is to conduct research in a broad spectrum of the natural, technical, and social sciences and the humanities, which has 54 institutes. So everybody, I believe can find their niche, because like the range is really broad. We also have 9 centers of excellence, over 40 regional research centers and research infrastructures. We have over 40 large research infrastructures that are on the national roadmap, on the national list, that could be very helpful to you as a scientist when you conduct your research. Yes, here is kind of the map, the overview of the main university in Czechia, so you can just kind of check the list to see where everything is. So how you can find your host institution in the Czech? Of course, you as a young researcher within your scientific discipline, within your topic of your dissertation, you are the best one who knows who would be your ideal supervisor. You probably even have some names that you would like to be supervised by, would be really glad to be your supervisor. So the best option is to contact your potential supervisor directly. You can always find their emails, especially the public higher institutions. So that is the best option. And as was said by Dr. Wett, to use some personal networks. It's also very helpful to contact the research office of the potential host institution. I would recommend, even if you're contacting your potential supervisor, to find the research office person and put them in the copy, because obviously this is the department where the knowledge of the hosting opportunities is centered in the institution. So they are the one that could be most helpful to you if you already centered on one host institution. You can also explore the institution's list of supervisors and topics who are eager to support your fellowship applications. I found that Charles University has such a list, so you can click on it and look who is open for hosting postdoctoral fellows. We also already touched upon Euraxess portal. I have checked. Yesterday, there were 5 results for Czech Republic. So there are some options, but I would say generally Czechia doesn't really use these instruments that much. The direct contact is probably your best option. There's also the MSCA matchmaking platform. Yesterday I checked for Czech Republic, there was 18 results. Mostly is for project officers from host institutions, from potential host institutions. So you can also get in touch with them, and they could be very helpful to you. Last year, Euraxess also organized a webinar of potential hosts, and Czechia was taking a part. And there are 5 institutions represented, their capacities, their how we can proceed with the process. It was Charles University, Masaryk University, Palacký University, and then Institute of Physics and Institute of Chemistry and Biochemistry of Czech Academy of Sciences. So I definitely recommend you to watch this, because there are directly people from the institutions talking how you can approach them if you want to choose them as your hosting institution. We know that Marie Curie Skłodowska actions are very competitive. So you will be lucky to hear that Czechia is one of the widening countries that have the sources for alternative funding. So widening countries generally are the countries that kind of have lower participation in the program in the Horizon Europe. So there are these instruments that are aimed to enhance their participation in the program. The ERA fellowships, as the speaker before me touched upon, are instrument to do this in the Marie Curie Skłodowska scheme. So I won't go into what has been already said, but if you aim to go to the Czech Republic to be your host institution, when you are applying for Marie Curie postdoctoral fellowship, in your application, you indicate that if you are not selected for funding, you would like to apply for ERA fellowship, and then you will be automatically resubmitted for ERA fellowship if your proposal fails to reach an adequate place in the ranking to be funded. This also only applies for the European postdoctoral fellowships, so the sub-scheme, so it does not apply for global postdoctoral fellowship. And of course, you have to be scoring over 70%. So that is one source of alternative funding, but we also have a national scheme that could be very helpful. So if you want to go to the Czech Republic, or if you want to depart from Czech Republic, you can apply for a national funding scheme that is via operational program John Amos Comenius. It's financed from European structural and investment funds. And in this, if you have the high score over 70% at least, but you are not funded under that call, you can apply for the national funding scheme. Here, you really have to apply. This is not resubmission. But, in this scheme, there's no second evaluation. They work with your Marie Curie Skłodowska, with the Horizon Europe evaluation. So they take the evaluation you have from the MSCA call, and there's not really like they take the score that you have from that call. So, but this is also a very helpful instrument. If you want to go to the Czech Republic, you have these two sources of alternative funding. You have the ERA fellowship because Czechia is one of the widening countries, and you also have the national funding schemes through Jon Amos Comenius. The call always opens at the time after kind of the results for the calls are published. So now you see that it is open for the applicants that kind of were not funded in the call 2023, and then next year in March another call will be opened for you to apply. Lastly, what kind of support we do offer to applicants as a national contact point. So as I already said, we organize national events. We organize National Information Day on April. And now we are preparing postdoctoral fellowship workshops. So if you are wanted to go to the Czech Republic or your departure from Czech Republic, you can participate in this workshop that is going to be on 24th, 25th of June. We are still preparing it, so the information is not published yet, but that's why I recommend you kind of just follow our portal because it will be published very soon, I think by the end of this week. This workshop consists of information session and also some practical knowledge, some practical session, how to write the proposal and tackle the requirements. We usually have some evaluator that gives you the tips and the tricks, and they tell you what they are looking for, what the panel kind of want to see, how to tackle certain things. So that's very helpful. We also produce brochures. We have learning videos. As I said, we offer individual consultation, and we offer pre-screening of your proposal. So if you want to get feedback from us from your proposal, you have to send it at least 3 weeks before the call deadline, so we have time. And of course, we are not scientific experts in all of the scientific disciplines and fields, so we are not tackling your science excellence, but we can help you to look at the formal part of the project, like, are you really stating what you should be stating? Are you tackling the things that should be tackled in the proposal? Do you really address the gender dimension of your research? Do you not misuse the dissemination, communication, terms in your proposal? These are very often problems of the proposal. Last year, we gave feedback to more than 40 proposals, like 45. So this is the service we offer. So if you want that, I recommend it to send it as soon as possible, and we are going to do our best to really help you to better your proposal. And we also cooperate with MSCA fellows and evaluators, as I said, regarding even in the workshop. So here I put some useful links, regarding the Czech Republic or even us. And as I said, if you want to go to the Czech Republic, you can contact us directly as a national contact point, and we would be very glad to help you. So that's from me, all kind of brief introduction to the Czechia hosting opportunity.
Thank you so much, Sylvie, for this very insightful presentation. You gave a very good overview about the Czech Republic, the different institutions, also, the alternative funding. I think that's very interesting to know, that there is some alternative funding to the existing call. And of course, also, the useful links you shared. And I think the support which the NCPs in the Czech Republic are offering in terms of supporting in the proposal. I think this is a very great, piece of information to know. And I'm sure you will receive some applications, proposals from India in the coming weeks, hopefully. Thank you so much, Sylvie. And we go from the heart of Europe to another heart of Europe, which is France. And who can represent France better than Dr. Srini Kaveri? As I already said in the beginning, he's the director of the CNRS office in New Delhi at the Embassy of France. And Srini, why France? Please, the floor is yours.
Yes, why France? First of all, thank you very much, Samrat, and thanks to Euraxess and the team members for having given me this opportunity to walk you through some of the postdoctoral fellowship hosting offers that we have. And my name is Srini Kaveri, and I represent an organization called CNRS. If you do not know about CNRS until today, I forgive you, but you will soon know more about CNRS in a few seconds. Let me start. Why France? There could be many reasons, you know. First of all, there's the best reason, which is you have Eiffel Tower in France, and we make some very good perfumes, and we have some red liquid, which is very interesting, actually. I don't know whether you have tasted this. And we also win some World Cups. And beyond this, France is also very well known for some of the greatest minds of the last several centuries. Take, for example, Louis Pasteur, Marie Curie, or Blaise Pascal. You must have heard about the philosophers, Diderot, and more. But there are so many other very good reasons to choose France. France is a research, you know it. And France is a country of innovation, second in the EU country for the number of patents filed. But for today's discussion, three other reasons are extremely important, because France attracts researchers from all over the world. Over 42% of foreigners are PhD students. France is a third host country in the European Union for young researchers. Global network, more than 250 destinations in the world. We have our own research and innovation institutions. And we are also at the heart of international research projects. You must have heard, some of you might have heard about RNA-SPAS, CERN, or European synchrotron research facilities, for example. So there are many reasons to choose France. And then in addition, talking about the education and research, we have 75 large universities, which are public universities, 150 Grandes Écoles. You must have heard about those: École Normale Supérieure, Arts et Métiers, École Technique. These are some Grandes Écoles. And we have several major public research organizations. Talk about in a few seconds. And you might have also heard about the organizations like Institut Pasteur and Institut Curie and others. So there are lots of reasons why you people would be interested in applying for your postdoctoral fellowship in France. A couple of words about the French research organization, and this is quite analogous to what you have in India. For example, CNRS is equivalent of CSIR in India. CEA is analogous to Department of Atomic Energy. INRIA, on the right side there, is equivalent of DITI or MAITI in India. INRA-A is equivalent of ICAR, Indian Constitution. FRAMER is equivalent of Ministry of Earth Sciences. And CNES or CNES is equivalent of ISRO. Is analogous to ICMR, medical research. You see, so we work more or less the same way, but then we have an artistic way of complicating. In French, there's a saying: if you can complicate things, why simplify? No, I'm joking. Okay, so just to simplify this particular slide, it's a very unique situation in France where, for example, look at the center ring where it says UMR. Unité de mix de recherche, or unité mixte de recherche. What it means is that in one research unit, you can have scientists working from CNRS or INSERM or any other public research organization, or scientists sitting next to you could be from university or from Grandes Écoles, or even from any company. They could have sponsored a scientist to work with you, or a hospital or a museum or things like that. So this is an extreme flexibility or fluidity in terms of research. What is important is your research. What is important is the questions that you're asking. Who gives a salary is a secondary issue. and working together with scientists from different organizations, universities, Grand École, etc., is the beauty. And this happens practically all over the country in France. Now, a couple of words about the offers that we are making about. CNRS is one of the largest and probably the most prestigious research organizations in Europe, created in 1939, just when the Second World War was beginning. And despite that, the French government went ahead and started this, one of the most powerful research organizations in Europe and probably in the world. In CNRS, we cover practically all branches of science, no matter whether it's mathematics, informatics, engineering, biological sciences, ecology, all areas of research. And there is no clear wall. We don't create walls in between one group or the other. You could be a mathematician, but working in a biology lab. You could be a physicist and still working in biology, or a computer scientist working in bioinformatics, for example. And we pay a lot of importance to humanities and social sciences too. Now, a couple of obnoxious numbers. We are quite big. As I told you, we publish more than 55,000 papers, and then we file quite a few patents. We have a large budget, and we have 12 Fields medals. You know what Fields medals are, the Nobel equivalent in mathematics. And we have 23 Nobel laureates amongst us, the latest one being just a couple of years ago, Alain Aspect, for his work on quantum science. We are present practically everywhere in the world. 2 offices in North America, 1 in South America, and 2 in Africa, quite a few in Asia, in Tokyo, Beijing, Singapore, Melbourne, and I am the director of the Delhi office, and I take care of the cooperation between India and CNRS. Here is the thick of the substance. I mean, this is where I would like you to concentrate. I'm going straight to the offers that the scientists are making. I'm sure these, you might have already looked at the Euraxess website. We have put them up there. These slides are also open for you. Samrat, hopefully he will be sharing these slides with you. And you want to concentrate on these slides. If you're looking for a postdoctoral fellowship, here are the labs who are waiting for you. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4 in different places. University of Lorraine, as I said, we work. University or CNRS or another research organization, they all work together. So we have University of Lorraine, University of Haute-Alsace, and then you have ESPCI, which is one of the most prestigious chemistry labs. And more in chemistry, we have University of Toulouse, Strasbourg, and we have Montpellier, all working once again in conjunction. Most of them are working with CNRS. It doesn't matter whether they work with CNRS or not. What you want to concentrate is on the name of the scientist, the area of research, which are listed on the right side, and you have the email addresses. You write to them directly and then start discussing with them. And then we have more in chemistry. As you can see here, two groups, and they're in different cities. And now let me come to environment geosciences. Once again, University of Lorraine is offering, and you have other laboratories, Institute of Electronic in information science and engineering. Take a look at that in the University of Rennes. And you have more in life sciences, quite a few in life sciences. And first offer is in the area of biochemistry, biophysics, and structural biology in Paris-Saclay. And the second one is in the north of France, University of Lille. You have the name of the scientist there, the area of specialization on the right side. Take a look at that. And University of Côte d'Azur, beautiful place in south of France, Nice, Côte d'Azur. You have one offer there. And more in life sciences in Strasbourg, we have one offer. And we also have one more. And then in Valrose, one more in area of cell biology. In physics now, we have Laboratoire de Aimé Coton in Paris-Saclay. You have the details on the right side. You have the laboratory in Annecy, which is a laboratory of theoretical physics. And then you have one in quantum science, quantum systems. And this is in the University of Paul Sabatier in Toulouse in south of France. And we have more offers for you in physics. For example, in Toulouse, you have in University of Côte d'Azur, Laboratoire Lagrange, and you have in Paris-Saclay again in Paris area and in Strasbourg. Go to these individual offers, take a look at their specializations and what they're offering and what area of research they're working in. You have their emails, write to them straight away, waiting for you. They have contacted us. They have requested us to display these for you people. Write to them. And if you have any doubts, any questions, write to us. And here are some tricks. Or if you, for example, I exposed to you about 23 labs which are really waiting for you. From today onwards, you can start writing to them. But imagine that in what you are looking for is not among these 23 offers that I displayed to you. Then you can look up at other mechanisms. And I leave these slides with you. It's very simple. Either you can go to the Euraxess jobs portal, and there also we have displayed. You can take a look at that, or you can go to another website, which is very interesting, which is called Scanner. And this is done by our Ministry of Higher Education and Research. And there you will see the data with so many labs and so many different teams, practically thousands, I must say. Please take a look, see which one is of interest for you, write to them. If you don't get response, write to us. And once you have identified a possible lab, how do we go about? How to write to them? These are the tricks that have already been described, for example, by Vivek in the beginning. And here are the tips to contact those laboratories. It's very simple. Go to these laboratories, go to these people and ask them. And then here are some other information, some more information regarding the Horizon Europe and other, particularly what we call as the national contact points, and who will be waiting for you, who will be ready to help you if you have any doubts or questions. And I also leave you with some contact. In addition to us, we have these people. These people are called the contact points in France, and they have all the information that you need. All that you have to do is to write to them and say, okay, I have identified a particular lab. How do I go further? And they will do the hand holding for you, and they will walk you through the mechanisms and help you, just like us in India. Either you contact us in India, or you contact them directly, or you also can contact, of course, Euraxess. I leave you here. I thank you very much. I hope it was not too long. Thank you very much, Samrat.
Thank you so much, Srini ji. Wonderful presentation. And thank you so much also for, making that exercise and showing the table of the concrete offers of the supervisors who are looking for potential candidates. I think that's very, encouraging. If I would be in natural sciences, I would definitely try to contact them. And of course, thank you so much also for showing the broad spectrum of France, what excellent opportunities are there in terms of research and higher studies. And time management, I would say you would get a field medal today. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and now from La France, we move to the higher northern area, and we move to Norway. And you can see already our speaker, Per Magnus, has a beautiful background. There was kind of northern lightning phenomena in the last days around the world, but Per Magnus, for you, this is very common to have the northern lights with you. So very happy to have you with us again, and looking forward to learning more about Norway and what kind of opportunities are there under the MSCA. Thank you, Per Magnus.
Thank you, Samrat. And you can hear me and you can see the screen correctly, I hope.
Yeah, perfect.
That's good. That's good. So I was thinking when I was listening to my colleagues Sylvie and Dr. Srine Kaveri that, I mean, if I was one of you guys and a researcher, considering my background, I would like to go to beautiful Prague or to Côte d'Azur because it sounds very tempting. And of course, this is no real competition between the countries because we know that you choose countries according to both the possibility of offer and of course, according to the needs of your academic career training when it comes to more disciplinary needs. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Norway. Norway is a small country. Well, it's a big country, but it's a small population. We're only approximately 5 million people. Which makes it perhaps easier for you to have an overview of what is to go for. So, if any of you know about Norway, that might be that we have fjords and quite beautiful nature. And if I can make this presentation work, yes. But Norway is also about a resource-based economy. And the areas, even though it's quite rugged and harsh nature, we have a lot of natural resources. And we're big in mining, minerals, hydroelectricity, of course, because we have all these waterfalls and these lakes. Petroleum, which is being phased out, but still will be around for a couple of decades. Fishing and seafood, we're big at that. And of course, shipping. And as a small country, the society is based on a high level of social trust, a high level of using high technology, that everybody is supposed to be educated, and we have a very strong higher education sector. In Norway, equality is very important between the genders, between people, and we trusted each other and base ourselves very much on cooperation. So these are values really that the Norwegian society is based on. Of course, when it comes to research, a small country with 5 million people cannot be excellent in everything. So we have our fields of excellence are basically based on the natural resources and the way the Norwegian society and the nature is built. And here you see some of the strong fields when it comes to research. I would like to add, as a Marie Curie and ERC national contact point, also social sciences and humanities, because that's where, when it comes to the ERC, the European Research Council, at least half of those who succeed in the ERC, they come from the social sciences and humanities. We have a lot of or not a lot of countries. Of course, as you can imagine, Russia is not on the list right now, but India indeed is. And we are an active partner in Horizon Europe, the framework program which the MSCA is located in. And we do quite well. So what about the offers? The problem I very often have when I take part in these sessions on offers is that most of the Norwegian universities, they start very early. So they work strategically with masterclasses for postdoctoral fellowships, and they announce their expressions of interest early, and sometimes in December, sometimes in January, February, before the call deadline. So are you too late for this? Yes. But don't worry, that doesn't have to be a problem, but it means that you actually need to do a little bit of work. And as my esteemed colleagues have explained earlier on, you can go to the Euraxess website, and there you can go to the Euraxess Norway website, and there you can find an overview of the 8 or 9 universities in Norway and the research institutes, etc. And I would suggest that you do that and you contact directly the institution, or preferably that you actually do try to find a professor who is acing in the field, and that you ask the same questions as you could do to, of course, in other countries, that if I manage to get a postdoctoral fellowship, will you host me? And you do the same as Dr. Kaveri explained. You send them your CV and perhaps a sketch of your proposed project idea. And I'm sure that a lot of institutions will be very glad to take you in as a potential applicant. We also, the NCPs in Norway, National Contact Points, we also held a webinar with the participation of a successful fellow and the call coordinator, Theo Stikos, on the 15th of April. And you can go to this website, this link, and have a look at this, especially the Norwegian researcher who went on a global fellowship. She gave a lot of good advice on what to do when applying for a postdoctoral fellowship. Samrat is going to distribute the presentation, so no problem. You will get the links from there. And apart from the MSCA postdoctoral fellowships, I mean, it's the postdoctoral fellowships are really a jewel in the crown when it comes to the MSCA, but it's not the only possibility to go to Norway. In Norway, actually, all R&I positions are announced on the Euraxess jobs website. MSCA doctoral positions, MSCA postdoctoral and doctoral positions co-funded with the MSCA, funded by the Research Council of Norway, on ERC grant projects, etc. So as you can see, I Googled or I went into the Euraxess website, and right now for Norway, little Norway, there are 188 jobs available. So you can go there and see and perhaps multiply your chances by both applying to these positions and for a postdoctoral fellowship. So why go to France? Why go to the Czech Republic? They gave very good reasons why. So why should you go to a small country on the edge of the globe? Well, Norway is a part of Europe, even though we're not an EU member state. We have complete association rights to the Horizon Europe framework program. So you get the same opportunities here as in the member states. And when I talk to postdoctoral fellows who have succeeded in getting these grants, these fellowships, they underline that it's the high quality life, it's the very good work-family balance. They like the nature, which can be quite rough. You need to be a badass to go to the north of Norway during winter, for example, because it's dark all winter. But then again, it's light all summer. So yesterday I took a photo at 11 o'clock and it was still light outside. It's so nice. We have quite small but vibrant cities. We are highly technological. And in certain areas, we're actually world leading when it comes to research. I just wanted to give you two examples of Indian researchers going to Norway. Krishna Agarwal, she received what was then called an individual fellowship in 2017, and she went to Tromsø, and you can see from the red dot that is located very high north. And there she has stayed, and she got an ERC starting grant in 2018 and is now an associate professor in Tromsø. And a couple of weeks ago, during the Belgian presidency conference on the MSCA in Mons, I met Debasri, who is now a Marie Curie Fellow in Levanger in the middle of Norway. And I asked her to send some slides about her project, and she did. She sent a lot of slides. So I'm not going through them all. I just wanted to show them, and you can have a better look at them later on. So she is doing this project on black soldier fly to green chitin and bioplastics at Nord University in the middle of Norway. And she has described her project, and then she sent a lot of pictures. This is this little city of Steinkjer in Norway. This is in winter, which can be kind of depressing, but still very cozy. It's very nice, and it gets light due to the snow. Here she is in her office, and she underlines that it's exotic that you can drink water right from your tap, which, of course, to regions is, I mean, common sense, but we understand that it's not everywhere. The Northern Lights, again, we always try to promote the Northern Lights because when people get to see the Northern Lights, they just become absolutely stunned. And this is her backyard. It's a fjord. Again, fjords, you know, Norway. And snowy areas. And she says that you will definitely enjoy Christmas in Norway. In most institutions, because they're quite small, it's very nice to collaborate with the colleagues. And she also said that if you have questions, you know, neutral questions, or you want neutral answers, you can contact her directly. So that's about what I was going to say. You are, of course, welcome to contact me on my email address, which you see here. And if you scan the pictures, you can connect to me on the rather dying platform X or Twitter, or preferably perhaps on LinkedIn. So thank you and best of luck to all of you.
Thank you so much, Per Magnus. Great presentation. And, you know, this is not Norway. I can see on your screen. It looks like somewhere more in the south. But Norway, as you said, has a lot to offer in terms of excellent science, you know, scientific collaboration. I can just, you know, vouch myself. I did my PhD in Norway and also lived for some years. It's a wonderful place if you're looking for, you know, an exciting challenge in many ways. But, you know, as I said, the scientific excellence, you know, prevails, and it's topped up with, you know, amazing nature and of course, wonderful people. Okay, but that's now from Norway. And we go to our last but not least speaker of today. It's a great pleasure to welcome Marie Kummerlöwe. She's from the Delft University of Technology, a program coordinator. Marie, it's a pleasure to have you back with us. And thank you so much for joining. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for having me. And I'm not, as some of the other speakers, representing the Netherlands as a whole. So just to say, there are lots of other opportunities with other Dutch universities. But the Netherlands has its faults and also great things about it. So there are no slides on that. But I can also vouch that all the other countries that are presented today have great things to offer. So if you come to any of our countries, I think you'll have a very nice opportunity. So I'm going to go through my slides. I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of TU Delft. Then I'll talk about our India collaborations, and then we have some specific opportunities for MSCA from researchers. I also know one of our researchers, VP, is on the call. I don't have a slide for him, but I'll mention him again, and then you can ask him things in the chat. So in terms of the TU Delft itself, it's the oldest and largest technical university in the Netherlands. You can see it was founded in 1842. It changed names, it grew over time. Nowadays, it's a large university, but we like to focus on our motto, which is impact for a better society. So across that, we have a broad range of technical subjects, such as health and care, the energy transition, climate action, AI and digital society, and urbanization and mobility. And you'll find research on these topics across our 8 faculties. So since you'll have the slides, I won't go through all the faculties, but you can see it's a broad range of technical disciplines from civil engineering to architecture to industrial design to technology, policy, and management. Some figures, I don't have the figures from last year, so it has grown a bit as well since then, but we have about 28,000 students. We have about 3,000 PhDs. Also, a large number of staff, so over 6,000 staff. And we have a strong international position. So as you can see in the Netherlands, for most of these topics mentioned, of course, related to the sciences, we're the top university. In Europe, we're also the top in some such as civil and structural engineering or transportation or aerospace engineering. And we also have quite a good position globally in those domains and in others as well. But if you have more questions about TU Delft, you can, of course, get in touch with me. I didn't go into our labs or our massive online courses or lots of other things that go on at the university for the sake of time. In terms of India, as part of our mission for Impact for a Better Society, we're really focused on trying to help tackle the Sustainable Development Goals, and partnerships are key to this. So we have, as you'll see on the slide, lots of partnerships within the Netherlands, within Europe, and also globally. And so globally, we have strong connections with Brazil, India, and China. And with India, our formal relationship began around 2010 with specific universities and agreements. But as you can see, we have lots of different meetings with political figures, parts of delegations. These are all researchers. So VP, if he's still on the call, is in the picture on the bottom with the Prime Minister. I think it was last year. Also, Jenny Dankelman, who's in one of the pictures, is our university ambassador for India. So I serve helping with the policy side, but we also have a researcher that you could reach out to as the kind of figurehead helping steer our India activities. We have a very large Indian community, and it's grown quite substantially, and especially the past 5 to 10 years. So as you can see, we have over 100 staff members that have an Indian passport. That's not even per se an Indian background. You can be, of course, Indian background with a different passport. We have about 600 to 700 Indian students at the BSc and MSc level. And for PhDs, it's really growing, and we're about at 250 now. We also have a large alumni community in India. So these are some figures from some of the larger cities and a breakdown, of course, our faculties, but it's over 1,000 people. We also host events. For example, the Indian ambassador will come to campus. We've hosted a Pan-IIT event, and we had a very large delegation to India with our rector last October, which was quite successful. And there we met with some of our strategic partners in India. So we work especially with the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, the Indian Institute of Technology in Delhi, and the Indian Institute of Technology in Bombay. I mentioned our university focus areas for India. And of course, if you're looking to apply for one of these positions in a different area, it's perfectly fine. But just between the TU Delft and India, there are very good complementarities in the areas of climate and energy, digital society, urbanism, water, health, and space. And I won't name all of the examples. This can also give you an idea of people you could reach out to because they're very interested in working not only with India on these topics, in general on these topics, but things like negative emissions or climate and energy policy, atmospheric science, electric vehicles. For digital societies, this is where VP is actually Rangarav and Katesha Prasad is working on embedded network systems, for example. We've also had people working on a tactile robotic arm or distributed autonomous systems, among many others, also things with quantum or semiconductors. For health, we have a researcher who's developed a fully 3D $100 printed hand prosthesis, which has been commercialized in India. Things on affordable and reusable laparoscopy, for example. And as I briefly mentioned, we have a lot of massive open online courses available. This one on biomedical equipment is quite popular. There's also a very popular one on electric vehicles that I know has a lot of Indian students. For space projects, we had the first CUBE satellite of the Netherlands. There's a large student team and also researchers working on this Lunar Zebra lunar rover project. And we also have a moonshot initiative on space technology. For urbanism, we've had global housing studios in India. We've looked at pandemic-proof living environments. And also there's another, I think it actually won the competition in 2022, this MOOC on global housing design, which includes India. It also includes Ethiopia, for example. And water, there have been many large-scale water sanitation projects, such as this Lotus King opened the facility, also about water-sensitive design or water in agriculture. And so I think that gives you a bit of background. You know, there's a lot of Indians on campus, a lot of people you could reach out to. We have an active Indian Students Association as well that I could put people in touch with. But I think your most important thing for you to learn about is in terms of this MSCA postdoctoral fellowship proposal, what support is there available? So I'll go through this slide more in detail. It's important to note that there's no central matchmaking. So if you reach out to me or you reach out to the email here, I would not know who to put you in touch with. It's quite easy to find information online at TU Delft about researchers. So I think you can find someone yourself or use your network, etc., colleagues, supervisors. So people will answer your emails, but please do contact people directly yourselves. But once you have a confirmed supervisor, there is a lot of support available. For example, there's an online info session on May 28th. You also can contact this research funding at TU Delft email address if you need more support for that. And this is really a department in TU Delft that helps with applications, for example. So I'm not involved in this at all. I'm more involved with India collaborations in general, but the people at this email address can really help you out. You can get input about the TU Delft standard kind of parts of the proposal. You can get feedback if you send your draft in enough time. And there are also some limited opportunities for online learning platforms about how to write a successful proposal. So I recommend you read this slide again carefully. And I think some of the other presenters said as well, it's really important that you use your network to reach out to potential supervisors. And now I'm going to share some labs that would be very interested in receiving candidacies. I won't go through all the details. Please do look at the slides. But for example, Dr. Trivik Verma is looking for people for his Center for Urban Science and Policy. So specific topics would be things like urbanization, spatial data science, inequalities, etc. And Dr. Johan Ninan is looking for people interested in construction management, project management, value co-creation. Then we're also looking, Professor Deepti is looking for people interested in healthy cities, sustainable cities, climate action, so kind of the intersection between urbanism and health. Also in terms of policy processes, so Nihit Goyal, yes, his contact information is here, is looking for people working on climate and energy policy making, policy processes in India. Going to a bit of a different domain, and this is where I can also mention VP again. This is somewhat close to his research area. People in signal processing, for example, Dr. Geethu Joseph. And the next slide is also a similar area. So if there are people in signal processing, there are lots of opportunities at TU Delft. This would be with Professor Gert Leus. So it's more with sensing and communications. There's also distributed autonomous sensing. So this is also, if you remember a few slides back, the Moonshot project. Dr. Raj Tilak Rajan is working on that. So it could be people working on estimation and detection theory, autonomous systems, swarms, etc. Going to another area as well. So Dr. Lekik is looking for high fidelity control and cyber physical resiliency of the hybrid power system. So control, modeling, simulation. I mentioned also this MOOC on electric cars. So Dr. Gautam Ram is looking for people interested in power electronics, electrical vehicle charging design, solar-powered electrical vehicle charging, for example. Dr. Kunal Masania, he heads the Shaping Matter Lab. So he's looking for candidates that would be interested to develop bio-inspired living functional materials. So people with a background in additive manufacturing or biologically inspired composites. He's actually based at the Aerospace Engineering faculty. So I didn't say which faculty these people are based at, but you wouldn't necessarily be able to guess because there's a lot of interdisciplinary research at TU Delft. There's also Dr. Sostaric is looking for someone interested in the dynamics of biomolecules, so bioinformatics, computational biology. And we have Professor Sibeles, who's looking for someone for his optoelectronic materials group, so things like time-resolved optical and terahertz spectroscopy. Dr. Gatkesar is looking for people for his precision microfluidics lab, so microfluidics, atomic force microscopy. And I think this is the last one, but I tell you, there are a lot of other offers as well at TU Delft, so please do your research as well. But Professor Katz is looking for people for his smart public transportation lab. So these would be people interested in network modeling, research allocation, and travel behavior, for example. So I think I went faster than my time. But if you have questions, I'll stick around for the chat, and we'd be very happy to have applications from you. So not just in the labs that I mentioned; those are, of course, very interested as well in your candidacies. But please do feel free to reach out to other researchers at TU Delft. I think, as you saw in the beginning slides, the Netherlands is also one of the top receivers of people from this MSCA grant. But thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Marie, for an excellent presentation and giving us a clear overview about the strengths TU Delft has, the strong India collaboration, the alumni network, but I think especially the concrete hosting offers, the researchers, scientists who are looking for candidates for their projects and their research. I think this is very, very useful. And we will share, of course, the slides and this information with all of you after the webinar. But now I think we have a good amount of time to go a bit into Q&A, and I would be very happy if all of the speakers could join in. There are quite some, and some already have been addressed. I saw that Dr. Vivek and Per Magnus, they have already addressed some of the questions of the attendees, but I would really like, it would be very nice to look at the other questions which are still open. And maybe I start with a few, and then also like maybe Vivekji, if you see something which is still very persisting to be answered, you can also come in, of course, and any of you. There was a question about, and I think Per Magnus, you already answered that question, but I think it's still important to know about this mobility rule, which already Vivek has mentioned in his presentation about living in the country and having those mobility rules that not more than 12 months the last 3 years. So we had these questions from one person who is living currently in Norway and looking for a postdoctoral fellowship. But does this now mean that the person is only doing research, or does it also mean that the person who is living, working there has to look out for the mobility rule, or is it only for somebody who has been doing research, doing his master's or PhD? Does this apply only for research or student life, or does it also apply to work life and living in the country, the mobility rule? Maybe Per Magnus, since you have answered that question already in the chat, could you maybe say it again?
Yes, and Dr. Vivek might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the mobility rule is that you are not supposed to have lived or had your main activity in the potential host country. And if this person has, just been in Norway and worked with something else, he or she is still not eligible to apply. But they can apply to any other country, and Czech Republic, TU Delft, France, etc.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And in connection to that, there was a question of one of the attendees that he or she had, exceeded this 12 months by 10 days, 15 days at the call deadline, how strict is the mobility rule? Like, is there a window? Like, is it possible like to stretch it a bit if it's so close to those 12 months?
No, it's very strict.
Okay.
I mean, the European Commission receives almost 10,000 proposals. They need to have strict rules, which in a sense can be sensed as unfair, but that's the way it is.
Mm. Another question regarding eligibility was this 8 years, after having completed the PhD. It's also a strict rule, as Per Magnus said, because there is a high number of applications. But there is, as Dr. Vivek also mentioned, there is a self-assessment tool. There is a calculator where you have, if you had like maternity leave or you had sick leave, so you can put this all in, and this counts, right? So the 8 years, one can basically have more than 8 years after the PhD, but still be eligible if one had certain breaks in between, right?
Yes, if I may, there
Yeah.
are exceptions to the 8-year rule. So you have to check the work program to see the list where are exceptions, and then you can put it in the calculator. It's maternity, paternity leave, sick leave. There are also, I think, some disaster leave, or so there are examples. There's also time outside the research. So yeah, so it's 8 years, but there are exemptions. So it is strict, but there are exemptions. So it's not as strict as it would seem. So yeah, definitely check out and don't be alarmed just by the number. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That's very important. To check the work program and use the calculator. Another question was regarding like being the beneficiary of this grant. Is it possible to have like team members, or like we had this question in the chat, if can I delegate it to one of my master or PhD students the work, or is it really like a single-handed research job for the candidate?
Well, I can try to answer it a little bit, at least. I mean, you have to remember that these are career development fellowships, and the Research Executive Agency and the European Commission wants you to be trained, not just in the scientific aspects, but also with additional skills. And, managing the project is also a skill that you need to learn. And besides, I mean, the resources are not so rich when it comes to that part. So I would suggest that you do the management of the project yourself, actually.
Mm. Okay. Another question was regarding the cutoff. Like, does the cutoff change every year, or is it approximately like stays the same?
It does change a little bit, but I also sent a link to the person who asked. You find this percentage over the different panels on the call website after the results have been announced. So you can go back to the call websites of the last few years, and there you find a table with, the cutoffs, and it varies a little bit between the panels.
The year. Okay. Another question which I saw, which was kind of recurring, was about starting date of the fellowship. Like, what is the latest date one can start with the fellowship? Like, is it different from country to country, or is it like a general rule in the work program? Like, is there anything you could share with us? Like, when is the latest date one has to start with the fellowship? All eyes are on Per Magnus.
Well, I mean, I think Dr. Vivek Dham actually mentioned this in his presentation. So basically, it's am I correct? 1 year after the signing of the grant agreement.
Yeah, is up to the. I specifically asked this question to Brussels as well because last time also we have this. So 1 year after the closure of the call, so you can have August, like this will be September 2024. So you can go till next year. So that the window it has. Again, it is you have to inform the supervisor or host supervisor and the project officer. It is done in consultation, so it could be 6 months to 1 year. So they gave a flexibility, but don't stretch too much of more than 1 year, because then the financial year also has to start next year as well. There is one question about the taxation of fellowship. Could you please give your view on this? In which country, how much is the taxation, how much is the duration?
It's kind of hard to say in each country, but my impression, because we get a lot of questions about this, because the fellows doesn't understand that the unit cost of the European Union should also, at least the fellows part, the living allowances, etc., should be taxed. And not only should they be taxed, but you should also withdraw all social costs. So what I generally do is that I show a picture where approximately 25% of the whole cake has been eaten by social costs and personal taxes. So that's approximately where it is. And of course, this also depends on if the country is a Euro country or not. Norway is not. Yeah. So you have to discuss with your host what can you count on as a net salary, really.
Yeah, but I can assure all the participant or listeners that this is one of the best, very generously funded scholarship. Even with the tax, it will be a handsome salary at the end of the day, because it also calculates the number of years, how much, if it is year or less than year, you are sometime exempted, you are more than you qualify. It's all vary with the countries. As in commission, we just give an table how much the commission pays as an allowance. So I will also ask the panelists one more question, specifically Srini, what kind of advice you want to give it to the Indian young researchers when approaching to the host, because they are flooded with the number of requests? What kind of guidelines and guidance you want to give it?
Thanks, Vivek, for asking this. So because I am also a scientist, and I also get a lot of requests from many countries, many countries, including India. So I will answer from my point of view. What do I look when I have received an application? In cases like Marie Sklodowska-Curie actions, it's very simple. There is funding there available, but I still need one. I would like to go for the best candidate. What do I look for? I first of all look for an email which is not too lengthy, not too heavy, not too much of his research ambitions in the past or future. I would like to see a very brief message saying, this is the area of research that I have been doing. I see that there's a complementary research in your laboratory. And I have gone through some of your recent papers, and you have been asking questions of this relevance. I have some ideas that I would like to discuss with you. And if these ideas are in parallel, in complementary, in conjuncture with what you're doing, then I will be stimulated. I feel, oh, this is not a random copy paste kind of a request. The person, the candidate has really gone through some of my papers. It's not the ego that they have seen my papers and I feel good. Obviously, I feel good, but that's not the point. The point is that they have really seen the papers. They have seen what my problem is. Because as you know, most of the research papers, the last few paragraphs are, this is what we have done so far, but the perspectives are this. The problems are this. We need to address this. If the candidate has some clues on what we could do together, that is bingo for me. Of course, the good CV, good capacity to publish, because ultimately, how are we measured? We scientists are measured, unfortunately, by what we publish. And I would like to see this hunger, this urge for the young person to publish. Every PhD does not yield a lot of publications, but you still know whether there is a urge, whether there's a need, whether there's a hunger for publication. Some people have original articles, 1 or 2 original articles during PhD is a kind of a must. And if you see more number of papers, I would like to see what kind of papers. Are they repetitive papers, more like just an extension of the one or the other, or something solid? I would like to see 1 or 2 solid papers rather than 7 or 8 flimsy papers, with the small data. Let me publish, let me publish. No, this is the way I look at it. I do not know whether I answered all your queries, but at the same time, I also would like to get some hint regarding the team spirit, because most of the questions that we ask in the lab, it is not single person oriented. Every individual has a project, but they also work very closely with others. The team spirit is very important, because we work in biology systems, and biology, imagine a patient is coming at 4 in the afternoon or 8 in the evening. I want somebody to help me. Oh, okay, there is this person. I can give you a hand. I can give you support. That's material. But even intellectually, I want people to think together, work together to go further. I'm sorry if I were too long. I'm so sorry.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Srinidhi.
Yeah, Samrat, can I ask one more question, or we are out of time?
No, we still have 10 minutes.
Yeah, I have a question for Mari, Sylvia, and Pierre Magnus as well. People are looking during the process of application formulation, either an host as an industry or an secondment in the industry. So does your university or the NCPs to provide some kind of assistance to find the industrial placements? Can you just give a light on this aspect, please?
I can start. I don't think TU Delft centrally would do that, but oftentimes your supervisor would likely have good contacts with the industry partners. So that would probably be the easiest way to get it done.
I agree absolutely with Mari, because this depends on the discipline. And I would also remind you that in the Mari's close Euraxess, they have only defined 2 kinds of sectors, the academic sector and the non-academic sector. So that means that those who are in fields where industry might not be so easy to contact, like in the social sciences or in the humanities, they might go to public institutions also. So the non-academic sector is really wide. So whatever fits your field, but it's always a good idea to use the supervisor because they know the landscape.
Yes, of course, on behalf of us, we don't have the capacity to help to find the placement, even academic or non-academic for you. But I think, as my fellow speakers have said, like it's dependent on the discipline, and you can really, I think, rely also on the help of your host institution with that. So that's probably way to go. I would also just add, I think Dr. Kaveri said really greatly how to approach, potential supervisor. Basically, personalization is everything, I think, in work. But I will also just really put in the copy the research departments of the host institutions and be in contact with them, because we know how scientists are. They are very busy, they have many emails, and it's really helpful to also be in contact with the department that is responsible for this task at the institution, and they could be really helpful to you. So that's also, I would say, it's also a key to successful approach to find your supervisor.
Thank you so much. This is really great.
Somebody had raised the hand. Yeah, somebody had raised the hand. Could you please?
Yeah, I saw the hand raised, but I think better to write it in the chat, because we have still many questions to go through. So if you have any questions, please write them in the chat. We will try to answer them. or you can send us an email afterwards at indiaraccess.net, and we will try to help you with your queries. But there were like some questions which are linked to the fellowship. Is, for instance, which many of the candidates, when they approach us, they're interested to know, can they work next to the fellowship? Is it possible to have an extra job next to the fellowship?
Yeah, I will just add in this MSCA postdoc, after the completion of 1 or 2 years, the Commission do have a provision for 6 months for an additional, work in industry purpose. So that is feasible, but that needs to be foreseen during the time of proposal formation as well.
But while doing the fellowship, is it possible to work?
I would say no.
No, okay, that is an entirely different question. So I will leave it with my colleague.
Yeah.
Because in the contract with the institution, which the institution signs with the European Commission, it says that you're supposed to work 100%. There are opportunities for part-time work, which you might want to look into, but you cannot work both on the Marie Curie Fellowship and then have an extra job to get more money. No.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole rationale behind generous funding is that you just 100% focus on the science. You don't have to worry about the financial crisis. That is why the handsome fellowship has been provided.
Yeah. And there's another question linked always. Can my spouse work next when he or she is joining me for the fellowship? Like, are there opportunities for spouses also?
That depends. That depends on what exactly is the meaning of the work. I mean, if the person is also in science, it is always, I mean, it has happened in the past when the couple have found the labs, where one person has found and then other person also has found a postdoc or some other possibility. But if it is altogether a new area of work, like completely different, then the rules are different. And, the dependents, some are allowed to work and some are not allowed to work. In some countries, you need to get the permission to work. And that varies from country to country. It's not an easy answer. But if they are applying for a scholarship or a postdoc or a training in some labs, it's relatively easy because you can say you can, as a student or a trainee or a postdoc. That's different situation.
So Trinity, would the university institution gives help, like support the fellow, like the spouse, to find a job? Like, is there any support system, or is it more an informal way of handling that?
Look, it depends from case to case. I can always give one best example. In my case, a Bulgarian came with a beautiful scholarship, and then his wife, equally bright, she got a job 1 floor below. She was working on a domain which was very close. And when the husband came together and they did the interview, they were so impressive that obviously the doors opened. This is a very unique case. We cannot generalize that the university does something. There are very few places, I mean, where they say, oh, you can also come with your wife, we will provide a job. No, it's not that simple. It's not easy. It's not impossible, but it's not easy. It's a bit hard.
Yeah, I will just add a line on this because, when you enter a specific country, your visa is stamped like a dependent visa, okay, when your spouse is going. So you are not supposed to have any work or financial gain. If you have to study, you have to work, you need to change the status of your visa. This is mandatory. Otherwise, it is illegal. That will create a problem for the employee as well as the employer. So the moment you want to study or you want to earn the money, you have to exit the Schengen zone, reapply for a work permit or the student category visa, and re-enter. That don't prohibit, but the category of visa needs to be changed.
I am not an expert on visas, but from what I understand, if you're a postdoc at TU Delft, you're employed by TU Delft, so you're not considered a student. I'm not sure how it works in other countries. So in general, if you're a spouse of a postdoc, you're eligible to work. And I included a link. TU Delft does have some services for spouses, partners that you could look into. So in the Netherlands, I think it shouldn't be a problem, but indeed the university does not guarantee a job, but you could, in general, apply for a job.
Precisely. I mean, in France also, even PhDs, the scholarship that the ministry gives or the postdoctoral scholarship is considered as a job, as a salary. And it goes with all the advantages and disadvantages like the taxes but the coverage of social security, everything is done. But it is considered as a job, which means it is not a student. Once again, there is no guarantee that there will be a job offered by the university or by the research unit, but that doesn't stop either the dependent or the next person joining, husband or wife, to apply.
I will also add that that's why we have Euraxess, that there's Euraxess Czechia, Czech Republic. So these are specifically the question you can ask them. And I think it's in each country, they will help you to address these issues. They are the expert on these tasks specifically. So I think that's the best way to go if you're asking these visa and entry conditions and stuff.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Sylvie, for making the link to Euraxess. We have service centers across Europe who are exactly tailored towards helping you with those kind of questions, about visa, housing, taxation, insurances, and everything. So that is all covered by the Euraxess Service Center. So once you are about to come to a specific European country, you definitely should get in touch with the Euraxess network, who will help you with that. We have a few more minutes. I was thinking I had one or two more questions, but if Vivek, you also have something, please, go ahead.
No, go ahead with the questions. I will, if still time, then we will find more questions.
So sometimes we get this question from Indian researchers, can I keep my affiliation at my home institution if I apply for the Marie Curie Fellowship? Or can I conduct some part of my research at my home institution in India? Like, is it possible to keep an affiliation with your home institution if you are getting the grant?
Yeah, actually, if you are a scientist, permanent scientist in any lab, normally you can go on a deputation for 1 or 2 years. Okay, it is the institution, the government of India, the institution has to agree with that. That is internal procedure. You cannot do a part-time 50% here or 50% there. It has to be full-time, one stretch, 1 or 2 years. There is no thing. But we know that a lot of IIT and the CSIR fellows had gone on deputation for 1 year, 2 years, and it is done quite easily.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, I see
generally these are very prestigious scholarships. So institution do encourage scientists or permanent faculty to go for it. Even you are aware that we are trying to have a negotiation with the CSIR for co-funding for staff exchange, and also they do recognize the excellence of this program, the magnitude and the outreach of this program in Europe, because this is something, the pan Europe, it has an center of gravity which pulls a lot of excellence across the globe. So that is the advantage of this program.
Thank you so much. Looking at the time, we are reaching the end of, I think, a very fruitful, long webinar, but I think, it was very interesting and useful, hopefully, to all the attendees. I would like to, again, express my thanks to all the speakers for their excellent interventions, and I think it was a very engaging Q&A session as well. I see that there are still a lot of questions out there. Please send an email to india@euraxess.net, or you can also contact, of course, the speakers. We will share the presentations and their contact details. If you are interested, to go to France, Norway, Czechia, or Netherlands, TU Delft, then, these are the right people you can, approach. And Dr. Vivek and I, of course, will try, of course, to follow up with you if there are some more, specific questions you have. But with that, I conclude today's webinar. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining. Thanks again to the speakers. Wishing you a nice late afternoon here in India, a tea break, and I think lunch break now, well-deserved lunch break in Europe for our colleagues. Yeah, we'll stay in touch, and we have another webinar on hosting offers from Finland, Poland, Italy and Germany next week on the 22nd. We will, of course, remind you on that. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thanks.